These are my bottom two shelves of my fragrance shelf. Now, they've served as an area for my not so great performing, more affordable fragrances that I've picked up over the years. And honestly, some of these that I've picked up, they've been collecting dust. I haven't shown them any love. You can see there's a nice layer of dust on them. And some of them, it just holds some really fond memories. Like this one I picked up for like $5 at a Five Below. And I just had some even dollar store fragrances just because I had that spirit of curiosity and I wanted to see if it was worth it. I knew the answer, it was not going to be worth it, but I still wanted to see how it smelled and my curiosity got the better of me. But as somebody who collects fragrances, I've gone from somebody who started out just buying only the more affordable and attainable fragrances, probably the $20 Ross and Burlington fragrances. We all start there basically, because when I first started collecting, I was starting college, you know, I was broke, I didn't have a whole lot of money, I just wanted to smell nice around my friends, and because scent to me was a way that I could bond with them, and I knew that the friends at the time, they also had an affinity for fragrance, and I thought this would be cool to talk about and just kind of bond over that shared affinity for wearing and sampling fragrances. But I will say, as I got more experienced and went farther down the fragrance rabbit hole, I started seeking out more potent, longer lasting fragrances, Middle Eastern and now niche, and it's not unreasonable for me to pass up a fragrance because it doesn't last more than 8 to 10 hours. I mean, after all, you know, we just want the best bang for our buck. But as I started to kind of shift this mentality and shift to this mindset, I quickly started to discount some of my cheaper fragrances. And as you can see, I've amassed a lot of them behind me. While I have sold many of them, I still kept around a small collection of them because they were my favorites scent-wise. I didn't care that they only lasted a few hours. I just loved the way that they smelled, and they were my favorites. For this week, as this person suggested up here, I decided to take a break from the fragrance beasts and go for some of the underdogs. I wore poorly performing fragrances for a whole week, and this was my experience. So I decided to go with just 7 fragrances this week, and mainly I chose aquatics because it was so hot outside and I was just in the mood for something clean and classy to get me through the week. And so for Monday, I decided to go with a really underrated cheapie. This is Pierre Cardin's Bleu Marine. Now, I want to say I picked this one up for $9.99 at a Burlington, and since it was a Monday, I wanted to wear a classy and office appropriate fragrance, and this one, I want to say it came out in the late 80s, and it has a beautiful oak moss. It's got a leather, some amber, some green notes, and it just smells so classy and aquatic. And so I still can't believe that this was $10, and I remember when I first smelled it, I thought, this does not belong in a $10 bottle. I want to say I did about 6 or 7 sprays of this on my clothes because I wanted it to last a little bit longer for my Monday meetings and just last me until the afternoon. And on my skin, it was a little bit shorter lived, but I didn't feel like this was a $10 fragrance. This smells way more classy. Tuesday, I decided to go with Pierre Ellis Aqua, and I paid like 15 or 12 bucks for this many years ago, and it still holds up. It's energetic, it's fresh, and it's got a very tropical lime, ambergris, sea salt, and it just smells fun. It's not the most realistic smelling, but it's definitely satisfying on a hot day. And I did receive some compliments from a family member when I hugged them, and yeah, this stuff just smells extremely nostalgic. It's fun, it's youthful, and it definitely reminded me of my high school and my college days for sure, because bought this around that time and I just loved this cheap, you know, aquatic blue style of fragrance, and brought back some memories for sure. The next day I went with Nautica Classic, and this one is just a clean, soapy, classy $12 rack store fragrance that you can pick up. And I remember this one was one of the first fragrances that I picked up along with Nautica Blue, because you can see these everywhere, but I loved the way that it just smelled very fresh. It smelled like freshly cleaned and pressed clothes or clean linens, and I wore this with a white polo to work, and I feel like that matched the outfit perfectly. It's masculine, it's classy, sea, and it's got a beautiful aquatic aromatic quality that will definitely set you apart from the masses. Thursday, I went with an old fragrance. This is Avon Blue Escape for him, and I actually bought this from somebody at a flea market while on a road trip with some friends and family, and this still smells as good and fun as I remember, and I only wore this a handful of times before. It's got a musky, peppery driftwood and some oceanic notes, and again, it's one of those aquatic, youthful gems that really reminded me of the people, friends, family, and relationships, and just the people who were in my life at that time in my life, and very nostalgic. It wasn't very long lasting, but it was very fun. I had a strong connection to it while it lasted, and just smelling this again was like experiencing an intimate but, you know, fleeting moment that really did mean a lot, and so I do hold some of those memories in this fragrance. Friday, I decided to go with Tommy Bahama St. Kitts, and again, this is one of my early pickups. It smells like a tropical vacation getaway, and it's some of the best $20 that you can spend. It's got a really refreshing starfruit, sea salt, ambergris, and aquatic notes, and this one really made me happy to wear it. I looked forward to spraying this on my skin. You can't help but smile when you smell this because of the sea salt and all of the notes in it, but I wore this one to work, and it kept me motivated throughout the day to get through the Friday and hang out with friends, and I remember I just looked forward to spraying it again when I got home because of that amazing opening. And again, I went out with friends later in the evening with this one, and it's one of the ones that I did respray on myself simply because I love the profile. And for most of the other fragrances, I did spray it a few times, just once in the morning to kind of make it last throughout the day, and just so that I could appreciate the fragrance while it lasted. Yesterday, I wore Caribbean Joe's Turquoise Waters. I picked this one up for 15 bucks. It's got a fruity pineapple, dark woodsy notes, and a salty, sort of buttery orris quality, and for some reason, it reminds me of a state fair with those beautiful, sweet, fruity aromas around you, and almost like a faint whiff of Creed Aventus. So it's unique on its own, and it really did keep me going creatively when I, do my digital art. I draw, I doodle, and I created my music. And so this basically just got my mind going, and I loved smelling it. I sprayed it a bunch on my clothes so that it would last throughout my day. And, it was maybe like 4 or 5 hours that it did last, and just a couple, few hours where it projected pretty good, but it was a fun fragrance while it lasted. And that one was Caribbean Joe Turquoise Waters. And then this morning I went with Creamy Cardamom and Fig. This is one of those $13 fragrances that you can find at the rack stores just sitting loosely, and it pops up every now and then, but when I do see it out there, I still smile because I remember all of the joy that I experienced when I bought this one and I sampled it throughout the store. I sprayed maybe once or twice on my arm, and it definitely just made me happy, and I knew this had to come home with me. It reminds me of a creamy Gris Charnel, but with a softer twist. It's easy to wear, and it was a nice break from the Bleu freshies throughout the week, and I feel like it's super relaxing, and it helped me wind down and just get ready mentally and physically for another just busy week ahead. So what did I learn from all of this? Well, for one, it allowed me to rediscover hidden gems, and making content for the fragrance community and just absorbing all of the videos surrounding new releases. I myself, and I feel like you could also, just be swept up in the hype and the buzz surrounding these new releases, and it was a nice break to take a step back saying, I'm only gonna, wear some of the fragrances that I have. I'm not gonna buy anything new. I'm just gonna appreciate what I haven't worn in a while. By limiting your choices and being mindful about your consumption, it can allow you to basically slow down and remain appreciative for how far you've come as a collector. And it's really just allowed me to appreciate the fragrance for what it was, which was the nostalgic fragrance profiles that made me fall in love with them in the first place. Because if you go a year or two without smelling a fragrance, chances are you're going to interpret it differently than when you first smelled it, and it may just feel like you're experiencing a new fragrance for the first time. And it's almost like a hack to make your brain feel like you're getting something new, and in a way, it's almost like reconnecting with an old friend. Number two, it's sort of piggybacking off the last one. These weaker fragrances reminded me of the joy of finding a good buy, a good bargain fragrance buy. And again, a lower price tag doesn't always equate a lower quality fragrance, and I do pride myself on sharing these hard-hitting, affordable fragrance hidden gems on this channel. And sure, some of these aren't going to be the most realistic smelling or niche level fragrances, but they're doing exactly what they're made to do. They are made to provide something easy to wear for many occasions at an affordable price point. And so I feel like this challenge basically reminded me that there are so many amazing fragrances out there. They're affordable, and it really did spark that spirit of just discovery and just that spirit of curiosity, because I started with no fragrances and I wanted to smell them all, similar to Ash Ketchum. And I feel like now I'm going on the hunt again more often for some of these bargains. And so it was just a fun way to kind of reawaken that spirit of curiosity in me. And number 3, weaker fragrances helped me savor the moment. So scent in itself is an art form, and I say that a lot, but it really is. We can gravitate towards and appreciate the way a fragrance smells, even if it doesn't last an eternity. People interpret fragrance and all of these things differently. The idea of ephemeral beauty refers to the beauty and appreciation in things that are short-lived, like a powerful evening sky, a sunset over the ocean, or something like a bright, beautiful flower on the side of a dirty road. Wearing these shorter fragrances basically made each moment with them feel more intimate, and I felt a connection with them, and it felt special. Now, I knew that the bright and fun openings would be relatively short-lived. They'd be around for a couple hours, and it made me really appreciate that moment, that connection. I also found myself trying to pick out some of the notes and the qualities while it lasted that would usually go unnoticed, simply because I knew that they would be short-lived for this challenge. And so it was a way basically to look at the fragrance more creatively and think, okay, what is this truly making me feel in the moment? I felt more grounded. Number 4, these fragrances were a form of dopamine detox. Now, some of you might be saying, isn't wearing fragrance at all a form of seeking dopamine? Well, in my opinion, it can be yes and no. I feel like you can try to recalibrate your brain without quitting something cold turkey. Now, I'm not saying that wearing or collecting fragrances is a bad thing, but for some people, fragrance collecting can be a form of addiction, and I've definitely gone through this before. I've felt this in waves, and often we can use the thrill of a new unbox to fill a void in our lives. And it's easy to become desensitized and seek stronger stimuli to give us that pleasure. I feel like wearing these shorter lasting fragrances helped me to take a break from the intense, longer lasting fragrances, to recalibrate my expectations and just find joy in some of these overshadowed underdogs, in my opinion. And while it might not have been a true dopamine detox where you shut off all music, you basically shut off your phone and just shut out the outside world and all the noise, it definitely helped me reduce the incoming stimuli. And in a way, I did feel like, in an odd way, it increased my sense of peace this week. So all in all, this was a fun challenge, and I highly encourage you to give this a try. I think there's definitely a time and a place for wearing these more affordable and shorter-lived scents, but if you do spend some time getting real close with them, maybe you'll feel that spark and it'll feel like reconnecting with an old friend. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. I'm Eli with Common Sense. Until the next time, bye-bye. Usually walk away. There's no room to walk away.